So hi guys, I am Marvin John Magallanes, and for today's video, I'm gonna discuss the Republic Act number 11479, or the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020. So before we go through, what exactly is the terrorism?
Linked separatist group.
Terrorism is committed by the premeditated use or threatened use of serious violence, force, or spreading bloodshed, or by any other means of destruction perpetrated against civilians or non-combatants and against properties, government, with the intention of instilling a state of danger, panic, or fear, and coercing or intimidating the public. The Philippines has been dubbed as the haven for terrorists and was identified as one of the countries with the most number of terrorist organizations such as ISIS, BIFF or the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, the Moro National Liberation Front, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, Abu Sayyaf Group, Maote Group, and the CPP-NPA.
Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has signed an anti-terrorism bill into law amid widespread opposition and fear it will be used to silence critics.
On July 3, 2020, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte signed the Republic Act 11479, also known as the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020. It is an act to prevent, prohibit, and penalize terrorism. Also, it upholds the policy of the state to protect life, liberty, and property from terrorism. This act was effectively replacing the Human Security Act of 2007 as the country's principal law against terrorism, and rewriting of some of its provisions despite opposition from various sectors and growing concern over some of its previous provisions. For instances, it allows the arrest and detention of suspected terrorists through the Anti-Terror Council. 1 month after the law was signed, several people was gathered to perform a protest against the law due to the fact that they believe some provisions written was violating the rights of its people.
Ang ating itatanong sa rehimeng never again! Jump, terror bill! Jump!
Despite the law gives law enforcement officers a power, still some private individuals or groups still criticizing the law because of the provisions written under Section 29, wherein law enforcement agent is allowed to arrest without a warrant and detain anyone suspected of engaging terrorist activity up to 14 days and may be extended by a maximum of 10 days. Apart from increasing number of days of arrest and detention without a judicial warrant, the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020 also imposed no liabilities for law enforcement agencies if the suspicions turns out to be false retention. Section 29 is the most controversial part of the law because it can violate the Article 3, Section 1 of our Constitution. That means no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person to be denied the equal protection of the laws. The Philippine government responds to provide assurance that the law complies with the obligation under international law, guarantees respect for human rights. To my fellow Filipinos, we need to remember that the main purpose of this law is to protect the human rights and prevent the resurgence of terrorism in our country. So as a member of this country, we just need to be vigilant and trust the government of their way of fighting terrorism.